ISIS has benefited from a permissive operating environment due to the inherent weakness of the Iraqi security forces? This is one of your key people on Iraq who was raising this alarm in November of last year. Did this message get to the president?
There wasn't an acknowledgement of the risk that this organization posed.
But if I can just stop you for a second, because
Okay.
2 months after Brett McGurk says this, the president calls ISIL the JV team in an interview with the New Yorker.
We've been through this, and that's
well,
not
you're clearly talking
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, that's not what I wanted to lead in with our next guest with, but I wanted you to all hear Chris Matthews implying that this whole Secret Service scandal had something to do with the fact that the agents don't like Barack Obama. But we'll save that for another time. But joining us is Dan Bongino, former presidential detail Secret Service agent for both President George W. Bush and President Obama. And there's his book, Life Inside the Bubble. And it's a great book, and we've had Dan on here before. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's all my pleasure. All right, so your reaction, let's start backwards maybe here. Your reaction to the resignation of Julia Pearson, the head of the Secret Service, about 2 hours ago.
Well, Steve, it was necessary. The most important thing is you and I may have addressed before in this kind of a business on a different interview, is trust. And she had lost the trust of the rank and file agents and officers out there in the Secret Service that actually do the work. It gives me no joy in saying that, but if you can't trust your management to have your back in that line of work, then it's a bad day for you. So I think it was appropriate, and the interim director they appointed, I know very well, worked for him for a long time. Joe Clancy is fantastic, salt of the earth, a really, really terrific agent who I think is going to turn the operation around.
Dan, it just boggles the mind as a layman to think that, I lock my door, I put my alarm on, that the White House didn't have its doors locked, didn't have its alarm on, and that the people that I always thought of as impenetrable. I mean, the Secret Service, man, the guys with the glasses and the suits and the earpieces and the wristwatches that I always thought they talked to on. I mean, that don't look at them wrong, because they have a right to view you as suspicious, and you're not going to be around long, because if you're viewed as a threat to the president or his family, and they didn't get it done, and I'm wondering, first of all, how on earth does this happen? And are there more incidents out there that we don't even know about that are similar in nature? So take those in that order, if you will.
Well, not as there aren't incidents as severe as the fence jumper. This was a failure of multiple layers of very complicated security planning, and not just one. Remember, there's media outlets out there reporting on 4 or 5 rings of security. I can tell you that. That's not accurate. There are far more than that. That's what's so disturbing about this, Steve. They all seem to fail at the same time. Remember, they've pulled this fence jumper plan, mitigation plan, off seamlessly for decades. No one's gotten more than 10 yards, but where we don't get do-overs, and we blew it this time. Now, the door locking mechanism on there, of all the issues with this, and there are many, the fence jumper that need to be fixed, solved, uncovered, the door locking thing does not bother me as much. I'll tell you why. That door is unlocked all the time. It's a place of business. People walk in and out. And that's not the fail-safe, Steve. The plan was so layered, it sadly had to come to that. But that's the fail-safe. The president's relying on a locked door at the front. We're in a lot of trouble. We have to fix the plan before that. Now, it seems like they're going to lock it going forward, but that's the part that bothers me the least.
Right. Let me ask you this. We know what political correctness has done to the rules of engagement from soldiers in the field, and I've had them sit here and tell me over and over and over again. Have rules of engagement changed over the years with the Secret Service? In other words, do they have to wait longer to shoot? Do they have to worry about shooting more? I mean, I could go on and ask the question in many different ways, but have the rules of engagement when it comes to subduing or shooting a suspect, not subduing, shooting a suspect, if they feel they're a threat, or if they're in that situation where the guy's, beyond them and heading into the White House, have they changed?
Well, let me make 2 points on this. First point is the Secret Service agents at the White House don't have any special powers when it comes to escalation of force guidelines. They're GS 1811 federal agents like any FBI or DEA agent. There are standard use of force guidelines, Steve. The Secret Service agents can only use deadly force if there's threat of and this is important, a serious personal injury or death to someone else. We don't shoot trespassers at the White House, especially trespassers with severe psychological disorders that jump the fence who are war veterans. We just don't do it. We had non-lethal measures. Now, those non-lethal measures failed. The dogs, there are a number of other things. I don't want to get into the specifics that failed as well.
But Dan, I got a minute left. How did anybody know he didn't have a bomb on him? How did anybody know he didn't have a grenade? I mean, he wound up with a knife.
They're trained that nobody knows for sure, but they're trained to look for what they call printed, the showing of weapons and a pattern on clothing. Not foolproof, but it's the best we can do. We don't shoot trespassers, Steve. That's just not the plan at the White House.
I'm really sorry that I'm sorry that terrorists know this apparently, and I fear. Hey, Dan, we'll speak again, man. Gotta go. We'll speak to you soon. Dan Bongino, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be back with our Malzberg panel again after the break. I can't believe you don't shoot trespassers. I'm blown away by that. I mean, no pun intended. I'm sorry for that pun, but actor John Wayne's legendary career started over 3 decades ago. We'll take a look back with this America's Moment. Don't go away.
It was a night filled with stars as Hollywood came out in strength to honor its own at the 42nd Academy Awards. Nominated for Best Actor that year were Dustin Hoffman, Jon Voight, Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole, and John Wayne. Born Marion Morrison in Winterset, Iowa, even at birth, the future movie icon was breaking records, weighing in at 13 pounds. After graduating from USC on a football scholarship, this young man became an aspiring actor, changed his name to John Wayne, and the rest became box office history. A veteran of some 150 films, Wayne received his first Best Actor Award nomination in 1939 for his role in The Sands of Iwo Jima. It would take more than 3 decades later, until April 7, 1970, before the Academy honored him once again. But this time, he won the Best Actor Award for his role as a one-eyed sheriff in True Grit.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think this is a great country.
Actress Maureen O'Hara, when asked to describe her friend, summed up the man best with 3 words: John Wayne, American. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
The White House offers insight into the resignation of Secret Service Director Julie Pearson. I'm Francesca Page, and this story tops your Newsmax Now update. Press Secretary Josh Earnest says a recent mishaps made President Obama question the leadership of the Secret Service Director, which may have led to her stepping down. Julie Pearson has been under pressure after a series of Secret Service mistakes. Former Special Agent Joseph Clancy will serve as an interim director. Texas Governor Rick Perry says the children who came in contact with the infected Ebola patient are being monitored. So far, none of them have any symptoms. Perry says his state is ready to combat the virus. And a federal court blocks a North Carolina voting law, saying it would harm minority voters. The law would have ended same-day registration and voided ballots cast outside of a person's district. I'm Francesca Page, and that was your latest Newsmax Now update.